Hello, my name is Annette. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to attempt to put a new top on my footstool because it looks pretty bad. So I've got some ideas. I've only upholstered one thing before in my life when I was about a young mom. I was trying to recover an old chair of my mom and dad's that I grew up with, and I did it. So I'm not afraid of a little staple gun action. But anyway, let's take a look at the project and then figure out what I'm going to do. Here it is. Here is the project. From a distance, this footstool ottoman looks great. I got it on Amazon for about $50, and it's a pretty nice little ottoman. It's lasted, people sit on it, even though it says you're not supposed to. But you can see it's got hinges, so we'll walk all the way around it. So it's got storage. I have a quilt of my aunt's and a quilt of my mom's that were gifts to me in there, and that's what I keep in there. But yeah, when you zoom in a little closer, you can see this cheap vinyl has tons of little holes on top. Now this ottoman has 4 little sew down things. I don't really feel like I need to replicate that. I just want to do it like a quilted top. So there's the square on top. That will be my quilted panel. Then I've got this overhang here, and I think I'll do a different fabric for this overhang. And then on the inside of this ottoman, there's this cheap black mesh type stuff that is tacked down. It's not perfect by any means. What I'm going to do is just fold down and staple right into my fabric instead of trying to paste something else on top of it or take this black stuff off and redo it. No, I'm just going to fold under my fabric so that I can just staple right into the fabric. And I'm not worried about that. That's not going to show. What I am worried about is trying to get around this little hinge. So that's another reason I don't really want to do too much with this black mesh. These hinges down here, trying to get inside to staple around that. I'm really not too worried about that either. I think I can tuck it in underneath there from the outside so that I think I can get it under there enough that I won't need to take these hinges off, because I really don't want to remove those hinges if I don't have to. But if it works best that way, that's what I'll do. But if I was going to take those hinges off, then I would have to take this thing off too. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It may be best just to go ahead and unscrew those. Now that I'm thinking about it, I probably just should unscrew those. It looks like I need a Phillips screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver. It's a total of 6 screws. This little bendy thing, it should be okay. Okay, I'm gonna try and unscrew the screws and see what happens. So I went down to the garage and I found this Phillips screwdriver. I brought up a few, and this one seems to be working the best for me. It's easy to hold on to. So we'll just unscrew these. I'm probably going to have to put the camera down because I'm going to need 2 hands to take care of removing 6 screws. So here we go. And there we have success. We have 6 little Phillips screws there. You can see that was where the hinges were. And then that little spot is where the lifter and closer was screwed in. So that'll make it a lot easier to finish this edge right here, which is mainly what I was worried about. I thought it might look kind of weird if I tried to finagle some way to tuck my fabric around a hinge. So here I am back in my sewing space, and I have a very small sewing space. In case you're wondering, I'm in half of a walk-in closet most of the time. So anyway, here I am, and I'm looking at this, and I need to pick some fabric. So I pulled out a few to see what I thought about them. I really like this. I really like this one with the grapes, and I'm wondering how that would look. How would that look as a top? And then maybe use those two accents on the side. I kind of like it because it's not geometric, so my quilting lines would add the geometry. Let me just, I've got a pin in there somewhere. There's a pin. I didn't think, oh, there's my pin. It's bent, huh? And I'll show you what I do with bent pins. I drink Crystal Light from time to time, and this is an old Crystal Light container. And it'll probably take me the rest of my life to fill this up. But you can see I have old blades, old pins, old needles, all kinds of things. That way, if something happens to me and somebody has to clean out my stash, well, they know, just toss this in the trash. But also this way it can't cut anybody in the trash. Okay, so back to this fabric. So yeah, I think what I'm going to do is measure out a piece that's a little bit longer than this and cut a square. And then I'm going to quilt that for the top. So I'll put some batting with it. And I'll probably go ahead and back it with some cheap muslin or something that I have, just, you know, so the batting is not scratching on this undersurface and wearing away, just to protect everything. I don't want it to fall apart. So to make my little quilt sandwich, I will have a backing on there, even though the backing will not be seen. I happen to have, I think in this drawer right here, I have somewhere in here, one of these drawers, I have some really old muslin that I picked up at a garage sale somewhere. Is this it? Yeah, here it is. It's almost like a, I picked that up for like next to nothing, maybe 75 cents or something. It's almost a gauze. It's almost like a gauzy fabric. And I thought, well, that'll be useful. I think I paid, you know, maybe 50 cents or something for it. I mean, it's really, really thin, but I think for this project, this will do exactly what I want to do, which is just protect the sandwich, the back of the sandwich. Even it'll never be seen, so if, you know, it doesn't look perfect or anything, but it'll be very useful. In fact, you can see how old it is. It's got some yellowing around the edges where it was exposed. But yeah, just this old thin gauzy muslin type material will be perfect to back my little quilt sandwich. So next thing I'm going to do is measure the top. Then I'm going to add, I think I'll just add 2 inches on each side. So that would be a +4. So if it's, for example, if it's 12 inches, I'd add 4 and make it 16. I'd have a real, well, I'm sitting right here on my cutting mat. Huh. I guess we can measure it that way, can't we? I don't need a tape measure. All right, so here we go. Let's get it right on the edge there. Okay, that's right on the line. So we're going straight across. It's 16 inches approximately. So I'm going to cut this to 20. I'm going to make a 20-inch square of fabric, batting, and that gauzy muslin for backing. And then we'll make a little sandwich. All right, let's get this fabric and this muslin pressed. First of all, I cut off a square that's a little bit bigger than what I need, just so it'd be easier for me to press it here. Actually, I'm going to flip this over on the back side. There we go. I can see the wrinkles and the creases better on this side, probably because it's lighter. This might have been a curtain. Look at that. It has a hem. Yeah, it looks like this was probably, this old muslin gauze was probably an old curtain. Look at that. But like I said, I picked it up in a bin at a sale, real cheap. I'm like, oh, I can use that, totally. Not for like a fancy new project, but man, stuff like this comes in so useful. And if you can pick it up for 50 cents or 75 cents or a quarter, you know, go for it. Go for it for sure. There we go. All right, so that's good enough for what I need right now. Okay, now I'm going to make a little quilt sandwich. So first of all, I have to finagle my way around here and get myself a piece of batting that might be big enough. That is not wide enough. Obviously, I'm not going to use brand new batting for a project like this. I will try and find a piece that is similar in size to what I already need, so I don't have to waste a lot of big stuff. Okay, now that's a nice long piece, but it's not wide enough. I'm just trying to see what I have. If I don't have anything that looks like I want to use it, I will sew a couple of these pieces together. Okay, it looks like I did find a piece that is going to meet my requirements. So this one is 24 inches that way, mostly. Yeah, down to like 23, but I only need 20, so that gives me 2 extra inches on each side. So I'm just going to lay it down like this. I'm going to fold this over here. I don't have to be precise on this, like I said, because this is giving me lots and lots of extra room. So I'm just going to, I've got it overhanging a little bit there. I'm just going to cut with my scissors. Just on this, about 20.5 inches. Okay, so there I have a little square of batting. So next I'm going to lay down this top fabric, like this. And it doesn't really matter, it's a square. So I'm going to try and center this batting up. This is such a small piece to work with. I don't need to use any sprays or anything like that. I will probably put a couple of pins in it. So I'll just smooth out this batting a little bit. And then I will pop the muslin piece I cut right on top of that. Yeah, I'm letting that, this edge that was where the hanger was, or where the curtain hanger was, that's going to just hang off the edge, so that's not included in my project. Okay, I'm smoothing that down. So the nice thing about the batting I'm using is this is the nice thing about any batting, but this batting I'm using is 80% cotton, 20% polyester. So it tends to stick to the fabric, which is nice. So it's kind of pulls up that fabric on the bottom there and sticks. It's kind of nice. All right, I'm going to take my scissors and cut off this little extra bit. And also there's a little extra bit of batting there. I'm going to cut that off too. Just get rid of that. Just less to go through the sewing machine. to pop a couple of, these are curved. Let me get those close to you. These are curved quilting pins. They're basting pins, basically. They have a little curve in them. Sorry, my camera isn't getting it. There we go. I use these a lot when I'm basting a big quilt. I don't like to use the sprays. I use the pins and this little tool. I'll demonstrate that at some point on how to fasten those using that little tool, but these basting pins come in handy. So I'm going to just put a couple of pins, maybe 4, like 1 in each quadrant, just to kind of hold it together while I'm going under the machine. Okay, now about quilting, I'm gonna zoom back out a little bit. I could decide to do straight lines this way, straight lines this way, straight lines both ways. As far as whether the lines are even or not, that's certainly a personal preference. I am not too picky about that. I just sometimes go free and wonky and do crazy things. I could also do diagonal across this way, just sew straight lines, and then come back this way to make kind of X's. But I think I want it to look kind of window painty, so I might do maybe 2 lines closer together, separated by a line farther apart. Then 2 lines close together, then 1 line farther apart. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll get to sewing. Okay, I switched my foot out for a walking foot. If you don't know what a walking foot is, all that is this little box on the back. It has grippers on the top, which match up with the feed dogs on the bottom. So when you're sewing with layers, it makes it easier. My sewing machine came with one, which was nice. So I'm going to sew on the top, but I've just got to keep in mind where my pins are, so I can feel them. There's only 4 of them. So once I get a few lines down, I'll take those pins out. I'm going to start with a line right down the middle, though. And here we go. So I did start sewing these lines on a horizontal and a vertical plane. Originally I intended to sew 2 together and then 1 farther apart, then 2 together, 1 farther apart. I ended up sewing 2 together, space, 2 together, space, 2 together. So I did vertical and horizontal both, almost like a checkerboard. So here you can see the finished quilting. Looks like checkerboard, and I think the lines were about 2 inches apart. So what I did was I laid my Ottoman upside down. I probably could have laid it right side up. That might have been easier. But I made little marks for the corners. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a line there, and I'm going to cut a line there, and make a little opening, and I'm going to stitch the right sides together to make a box. So that's what I'm going to do next. And again, I'm not being really precise here. This is just for me. I suppose if I was making this for someone else, I might be a little more precise, but I'm just going to draw a little line here. Draw a little line here. I'm going to use my little rotary cutter or scissors and cut out this area right here. And I'll just demonstrate that here. I'll just boldly I'm leaving myself about an extra 1/4 inch, so I drew my line, but I'm coming inside 1/4 inch to make a little seam allowance. And I got the ruler. Whoops. And here we go. This is not the, okay, do what I say, not what I do, an instance of that. But this is not the most precise way to make a box corner. But then when I flip this over and I fold these together, sorry about that, I'm trying to do this one-handed, but I just want to be able to talk and show you. So I'm folding this back together where I cut out that opening. So there's my opening, and I'm gonna just stitch that down. So let me go stitch that real quick and I'll be right back. So I stitched a little corner together, and I'm gonna try and flip this out so you can see, hold on, when it's flipped out, it makes a nice little box. So that's gonna be a side of my ottoman. Now I suppose if I was really planning this out ahead, maybe I would make those lines match up. If I would have made it giant, I could probably do that, or measured these lines exactly where they were. But I'm not, like I said, this is my living room. I'm not too worried about it. I don't think anybody is even going to notice that. If they do, well, I won't know what to say to them. But anyway, I'm going to make the other 3 box corners and then staple this thing down. So here's my ottoman top upside down in my upside down box. Let's see, I've got my little box corners, and it's just making a little container to hold my little ottoman top in. So I already put my first staple in. I did that right here. And that is because this is the side with the hinge holes, and I am not going to cover those up. I'm going to keep those exposed so I don't have to find them underneath the fabric. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and continue stapling all the way around this, and we'll see how we do. And here is my not so neat stapling job. It's just for me though, so I wasn't too worried about being perfect. Got my hinge back in. And here is a little tour of my finished ottoman with the quilting. I really like the way it upgraded my little living room ottoman. This is Annette with Sunbeam Fabric Art, and have a great day.